On this vote, the yeas are 60 and the nays are 40. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn, having voted in the affirmative, the motion upon reconsideration is agreed to.
And that right there is the sound of betrayal, as 8 Democratic senators sided with the MAGA Republicans in order to take away health care from 20 million Americans. They got nothing out of this government shutdown regarding extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies. 8 Democrats completely capitulated during the heart of a battle that, if last Tuesday showed anything, it's that the American people want fighters, and these 8 Democrats, and let me just post their photos, capitulated, surrendered, and shamed the Democratic Party and shamed our country and let down tens of millions of Americans, perhaps over 100 million Americans. Here they are. Senator Dick Durbin. You have Tim Kaine, of all people, who just joined this group today to betray the American people, leaving me heartbroken, frankly. John Fetterman, who we always knew was an idiot. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, who I had on the show like 2 weeks ago, who said she was never going to do this. And here she goes and does this. Senator Maggie Hassan, Senator Angus King, Senator Cortez Masto, and Senator Jackie Rosen. I think Governor Newsom puts it best. Pathetic. Pathetic. And right now, the Trump government shutdown is going to end because 8 Democratic senators just sold out the American people. It's not a deal. It's a surrender. They bent the knee. Look at those names one more time. And if you want to even know what this even is, what the hell is it? That there will now be a continuing resolution through January 30th, a vote on the Affordable Care Act subsidy extension by December on a Democratic bill in the Senate only. And we know that MAGA Mike Johnson said that he will never be voting, that they're likely never going to bring that up in the House. And just bringing it up in the Senate, we know the MAGA Republicans are going to vote against extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies. So what the hell is the point of even saying that, oh, we won the opportunity to get a vote? The hell is happening here? Then it says a minibus, which includes a reversal of the shutdown reduction in force order. So Trump holding the people hostage, starving people to death. And then, oh, they're just going to undo that, but only until January 30th, it's set to expire, and then Trump can start his reduction in forces again. So seriously, what the hell is this? I showed you the statement of Governor Newsom. Here's the statement of Governor Pritzker. This is not a deal. It's an empty promise. Trump and his Republican Congress are making healthcare more expensive for the middle class and ending it for working families. Time for Democrats to stand tall on affordable healthcare. Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona says, there's a phrase in Spanish, con salud hay todo, sin salud no hay nada. It means with good health, you have it all. Without your health, you have nothing. It's with that in mind that I stand firm in my decision to vote no on the CR. I cannot in good faith vote for a show vote that does nothing to guarantee that 24 million Americans get the health care they deserve. How do you not even get any concrete guarantee about extending the Affordable Care Act when that was the very point of this in the first place? By the way, I was fine with the plan 24 hours ago where the Democrats agreed to a compromise, extend the Affordable Care Act for 1 year, have a bipartisan negotiation over it. And even though I didn't like 1 year, I understood the mechanics of it. There was something concrete there, and I said, okay, this is protecting the American people's health care. But this is not it. Whatever the hell this deal is, was again not a deal. It was a total capitulation and a total surrender. I want to show you some of the statements of these Democratic senators because they're living in an entirely different world. And it must be nice because I know they're all worth millions of dollars and tens of millions of dollars, that they're so disconnected from what the American people are saying and going through. But nobody wants this. They're like, oh, we're fighting for the American. No, you're not. What the American people said last Tuesday in handing the Democrats a massive blue wave, a massive blue tsunami, is that we want fighters because there's an authoritarian and freaking fascist takeover of our country where people are having their health care ripped away. They're being psychologically tortured, living paycheck to paycheck, can't afford rent, can't afford a home, no chance of even having a mortgage at this point. People go buy groceries and can't afford their food. SNAP was being ripped away from Americans while Donald Trump was at Mar-a-Lago doing Great Gatsby-themed parties with half-naked women in martini glasses, building golden ballrooms while sending ICE Gestapo to terrorize communities like the SS. I mean, it's horrific with gassing chemical weapons on our streets, human beings being disappeared off the streets of our country. And the Democrats go, well, we've got the Republicans to agree to take a vote. Yeah, they're going to vote against you. They hate you. They want to eliminate you. What the hell are you doing? Here's Senator Shaheen. Here's what she had to say. This was the only deal on the table. No, it wasn't the only deal on the table. No, it wasn't the only deal on the table. You know what you should have done? You should have just continued to fight for the American people. The deal on the table was you fight and you stand up to these fascists. That's what you do. That's what you do, okay? Here's what Shaheen said. Here, play this clip.
It restores a real bipartisan appropriations budget process. Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House. And they made clear over a period of weeks, including just this week, that this was as far as they would go as part of the shutdown talks. This was the only deal on the table. It was our best chance to reopen the government and immediately begin negotiations to extend the ACA tax credits that tens of millions of Americans rely on to keep costs down.
And then she goes, but let me be very clear. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to extend the ACA tax credits more than I do. Let me be clear. That's not true because you just sold out 20 plus million Americans. And I'm not mincing words about how pissed off I am. And I'm pissed off because you were on my show a week ago saying that you would never do this. Here, play this clip.
And this is only the first step. So let me be clear. No one in the Senate chamber wants to extend the ACA tax credits more than I do. I introduced that legislation in 2019. I fought successfully to pass it in 2021 and 2023, and I am 100% committed to getting this done.
And then you have Senator King, and he's like, all right, well, I believe we're one step closer tonight to a vote on the ACA tax credits. We're one step. What world are you living in? What world are you living in that you think you're one step closer, idiot? What world do you think you're in? They're not going to vote for this. They're not going to talk to you. What do you think is going to happen? You just sold out so many Americans. By the way, folks, Senator Rand Paul, MAGA Republican from Kentucky, wasn't even with this thing. Anyway, here, play this clip.
So I believe that we are closer tonight to a vote on the ACA tax credits than we were this morning. Because part of this agreement, and you heard the majority leader on the floor today say he is committed to putting a bill on the floor before the second week in December that would be drafted by the Democrats concerning health care in the ACA. That is a big step, because otherwise there's no way for the minority to get a bill onto the floor of the U.S. Senate. It has to be through the office of the majority leader. So that was a major step to get the majority leader to agree to make that commitment tonight on the Senate floor.
And then you have Dick Durbin from Illinois. He wants to lecture us. He's about to retire, and he goes, oh, but Clearly, you don't know how they run the Senate. You don't know how we do things in the Senate. I think we do know how you do things in the Senate. You surrender and sell out the American people. And by the way, most of these people who voted against or who voted in favor of this deal and voted against the Affordable Care Act, these Democrats, they're either retiring or they are set to, or their next elections like 6 years from now, like 2030 is when Kaine is up for re-election. And so in many ways, it seems like they just picked 6 of these Democrats who were going to, like, who were either retiring or not running for re-election soon. That's what it feels like to me. Anyway, here's what Dick Durbin says. Play this clip.
Yeah, but I mean, some people would think that this is a capitulation if you only agree to a standalone vote.
Need to understand how the Senate works. We brought this issue as a major national issue from zero to a major factor, I think, in the last election. And I think we're going to continue to make it an issue as we.
But then Senator Shaheen says, but we have a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date. Here, play this clip.
You say you're fighting on the Affordable Care Act. What do you say to your colleagues who say this isn't a fight, this is a capitulation? You're putting together, you're agreeing to a vote on a bill that it almost certainly will not become law, and you're allowing that to happen.
Well, first of all, there was, as long as the government shut down, the clear statement from Senator Thune and the Republican majority, and they control the Senate, the House, the White House, was we will not talk about health care with you. So there was no vote that we were going to get on the Affordable Care Act, premium tax credits. We have a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date on a bill that we will write. Not that the Republicans will write, although I do think it's important for us to engage with them because we need a bipartisan bill that we know is going to get enacted to provide the relief that Americans need. And I think there's a commitment on the part of many of our colleagues to do that.
But there's no guarantee this will become law.
There was never a guarantee that it would become law.
Here's what Senator Cortez Masto says. The fight tonight is just beginning. No, we were in the fight and you just sold us out is what happened. Here, play this clip.
This fight tonight is, I agree with Senator Angus, is just the beginning. This is the beginning to show and fight for Americans across the country. Let me just say this, with the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026 that starts with a minibus that will restore funding that President Trump cut. It delivers millions of dollars in critical funding to states like Nevada all across the country. And it, you will hear, blocks the administration from future rifts. We have an opportunity also to put Republicans on the record on the ACA. Are they committed to doing this? Are they committed? Leader Thune said he would come to the table on a health care once the government was open, and now he must follow through. If Republicans want to join us in lowering costs for working families, they have the perfect opportunity to show the American public. I expect Republicans to be at the table in the next few weeks. I expect the White House to be at the table. And if they do choose not to come to the table, they can own the disastrous premium increases that will continue to rise. They will own the fact that Americans across this country are going to lose access to health care. We were elected in the Senate to work on real solutions that help working families.
And now here's Senator Hassan when she goes, the government is reopening and Republicans will finally have to come to the table. Do you know how weak you look? I want to tie this all together shortly, though. Play this clip.
So my Democratic colleagues and I have been ready to work on this issue, on extending these tax cuts for months. With the government reopening shortly, Senate Republicans now finally have to come to the table. Or make no mistake, Americans will remember who stood in the way. So I urge Speaker Johnson to finally return the House of Representatives into session and quickly reopen the government.
And here's what Tim Kaine had to say when he took the stage. Here, play this clip.
So, hey, everybody, I'm the cleanup hitter because I joined this group I joined it 48 hours ago.
not for lack of interest. And I got to applaud Gene.
Okay, but Tim Kaine, what was it? A week ago was saying this. Here, play this clip.
Again, we could open this government and get the funding done in 36 hours if the president would just engage rather than spending time with the Argentine president and cutting a deal with the Qataris about an Air Force base in Montana. America first, folks. Let's get government open and bring people's health care costs down.
I mean, Tim Kaine siding with this group. I mean, that's a real stab in the back, right? Tim Kaine? Really, Kaine? For real? Let me tell you what Bernie Sanders said on the floor. Now, Bernie Sanders is no fan of the Affordable Care Act because, like me, Senator Sanders wants to see universal health care. That's what I want to see. I want to tax the rich more, and I want them to help fund a health care system for all Americans. That's the system I want. I'm unapologetic about it. That's how I feel. So but by the way, the Affordable Care Act giving people an opportunity to get health care when people were uninsured before it and the subsidies bringing the cost down, I'm okay with it. I think it can be improved in many significant ways. So Senator Sanders, like me, isn't a lover of the Affordable Care Act, but even he's fighting more than the other people who claim they like the Affordable Care Act who just sold the people out. Here, play this clip.
I understand that the way the process has been developed, it is impossible to delay the votes that are going to take place. And if that were not the case, that is certainly what I would do, because I think it is important that the American people fully understand what is being voted on today. Everybody in America knows that our current healthcare system is broken. It is dysfunctional. It is cruel. It is by far the most expensive healthcare system in the world and the only healthcare system of any major country that does not guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right, covering every man, woman, and child. We are unique in that respect. And yet tonight, what this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse. So let's be clear what this vote is about. If this vote succeeds, over 20 million Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. In my state of Vermont and throughout this country, for certain groups of people, it will be a tripling and a quadrupling of their premiums. There are people who will now be paying 50% of their limited incomes for health care. Does anybody in the world think that makes sense? And if this resolution is passed tonight, we are on a pathway to throw 15 million Americans off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. 15 million. Our job is to create universal health care. Guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child, not throw 15 million people off the health care they have, low income and working class people. And my friends, know what you are voting on. Studies are out there that when you throw 15 million people off of health care, some 50,000 of our fellow Americans will die unnecessarily every single year. Anyone think that's funny? Something to laugh at? Something to just go past? I don't. 50,000 Americans die unnecessarily. Now, I know.
And Senator Sanders says what just occurred is a meaningless gesture. A meaningless gesture. Here, play this clip.
Now, I know as part of this resolution that the majority leader is going to say, well, Democrats can put together their own bill and it'll come to the floor here in the Senate for a vote. As everybody here knows, that is a totally meaningless gesture. You can get 100 votes here in the Senate. Won't mean anything because the House is not going to take it up, and the President of the United States certainly will not sign it. So, Mr. President, I hope that anybody here who is thinking of voting for this reconsiders, goes back home and talks to their constituents and asks them what it will mean if their health care premiums are doubled or tripled. Thank you, Mr. President.
And why is it a meaningless gesture? Because look what MAGA Mike just said recently. Play this clip.
He's offered them a vote. You know what they told him in response? No, we need you to guarantee the outcome of that vote. Well, that's ridiculous. That can't be done. No, because we did our job and I'm not part of the negotiation. The House did its job on September 19th. I'm not promising anybody anything. I'm going to let this process play out. I'll tell you what they wanted. I'll tell you what Schumer and Jeffries wanted. In fact, Chuck Schumer said it publicly and decried that Thune and I would not go in a back room with them and make a four corners agreement on Obamacare subsidies. And I said, there's no way. That it was never possible or appropriate for that to.
And we all know that Donald Trump was at the Commanders game. He was at the Washington football team's game where he got booed. He's as unpopular as can be. Why would you, after all the great things that happened this week, like, why would these people sell us out? Like, it's absolutely crazy. Here, play this clip. But by the way, hat tip to Mikey Sherrill, the governor-elect, right? She'll be the governor, for a long period of time. And she came out and said, look, I ran for office to deliver for New Jerseyans, even in the face of Washington leadership that keeps failing the people. And last week, we won with a broad coalition after laying out a plan that takes bold action on costs despite political pressure and people saying it couldn't be done. Voters made it clear the American people want leadership with a backbone. And at a critical moment when they need leaders to stay strong under pressure, the Senate is on the brink, now they've caved, on a bill that the American people can't afford. Make no mistake, if this deal passes, it will lead to New Jerseyans paying far more for their health care when they are already paying more and more for everything. Making this deal is malpractice. We have more than 9 million people in New Jersey who are counting on us to fight for them, and instead Washington is putting them in harm's way. Not on my watch. And then AOC made this great point. The average monthly SNAP benefit is $170 a person. The average ACA benefit is up to $550 a person per month. People want us to hold the line for a reason. This is not a matter of appealing to a base. It's about people's lives. Working people want leaders whose words mean something. And I think to the extent there's a silver lining here, it's that we need to make sure we elect different types of leadership. I mean, we see the people who have sold us out. We see the people who are fighting for us. And we need to make sure that we are elevating the fighters and that we're not okay with these people who continue to behave like losers, who don't rise and meet the moment and oh, shucks, I guess I'm banning cleanup. Seriously? Seriously? You are batting Americans in their face. You're taking a freaking baseball bat and you're hitting people in the freaking face with it is what you're doing. Because that's the message that it sent tonight. And it pisses me the hell off after a massive win, after all the momentum, to rush and behave like losers. Pathetic. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MidasPlus.com.